Good morning, folks. Welcome to our channel. It is the 2nd of September, and what you're going to hear, you will not hear anywhere else. Jane and I were discussing this, and she says, oh my gosh, this is the mother of all wake-up calls. If you're an investor, if you have a 401k, or if you hope to stop working sometime in your 70s and 80s, this is the mother of all wake-up calls. Welcome to the smartest, most active audience on the planet. Thank you, YouTube, for hosting us. The points of view and the purpose of this video is not to bully or harass anyone, but share those thoughts with other like-minded individuals. Subscribe and really anger the elites. Just subscribe. It really makes them mad. And keep subscribing till they let you subscribe. Pray we can stay on the air. In a minute, you'll see why we called Noble Gold Investments. We don't just have people on this program to have them on. There is a reason we have Noble Gold Investments. There's a reason we have Danas Pain Relief Store on our show, because we believe in their products. If you're an investor and what you hear right now does not scare the pants off you, then you need to hear it again. This is why everyone who has anything is buying as much gold and silver as they can. And I'm going to put a plug in just because it's the right thing to do. You'll notice very few spelling errors because we pulled up Virtual Shield again. So nobody's getting in there to change our story while we're out having a cup of coffee between the time we write this and the time we put it out on the news. We have to think it over after it's written. In 2013, under our last glorious leader, the Savior, President Barack Hussein Obama, a bill was passed and approved by the G20 nations that all of the money in your bank accounts belong to the banks. The FBI later stated, although we did a TV show on this, and I think we did a video on this, so they did this. They stated that everything in your bank account belongs to the banks. This was pulled off of Google. It was censored, but it was not scrubbed from federal court cases. Everything in your safety deposit box belongs to the banks. If a bank is seized by some fascist U.S. department, remember, a department is an agency of a fascist government. 1945 Funkin' Wagnall Dictionary. So if a bank is seized by some fascist U.S. department, you lose everything. Okay? And this happened in 2014, but there have been banking laws since 1835 that support this. Okay, maybe you have a couple thousand in your bank account, but you've got millions in your 401k and your other investment programs, right? Okay. So maybe you go to the brokerage and say, if the Feds get my couple $1,000, it's no biggie because I have $3.5 million in this investment. I got Boeing stock, and I even have the hard stock, just like I have Standard Oil stock. So, the difference between a hard stock copy and toilet paper? You can use toilet paper. Standard Oil won't honor a hard stock copy. If you walk into Standard Oil with something that says you are the owner, this is a bearer stock, they'll laugh you out of the building. You have to sue them. Okay, maybe you have a couple thousand in your bank and you've got millions in your brokerage. Maybe you're working for a major company for the last 40 years and you've got a large 401k. Now, here it is. Warning, bank deposits will soon no longer be considered money but paper investments. This was the day before the IMF met. They met on the 15th of November 2014, and that's when you lost your money. There it is. The money in your bank account was stolen this morning. November 15, 2014. There it is again. Money in the bank account no longer belongs to you. Name one brokerage not owned by a bank, thanks to our last president, and name one brokerage that is not allowing you to deal with their bank. November 16th, the day money dies. It's no longer yours. HSBC imposes restrictions on large cash withdrawals because it's their money you're withdrawing out of the bank. U.S. banks suddenly closed dozens of accounts of Muslim groups suspected of racial profiling because it's their money. It does not belong to the depositor. Top 10 investment companies. In the U.S., Capital One Financial with Capital One Bank, USAA with USAA Bank, First Horizon National with First Horizon Bank, American Express with American Express Bank, Goldman Sachs Group with Goldman Sachs Bank, Morgan Stanley, blah, 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 Morgan Stanley Private Bank. Now, you've got your money in an investment with, say, Morgan Stanley, and it's a private bank. Who do you think that money belongs to? We've been asking around, and your investments, including most pension funds invested, belong to a bank, And all IRS reporting requirements are done using banking forms. When I had a Securities and Exchange Commission license, the Series 6 and 63, you would invest a 401k or something on a different form. Now it's all done by the banking forms. Bank of America owns Merrill Lynch. Wachovia is owned by Wells Fargo. That's how they could steal $10,000 of my investment. They just said it's not your money. It belongs to the bank. Deal with it. On and on it goes. You get the picture? When the reset occurs and the bank accounts are zeroed out, mass layoffs at Wells Fargo, it's beginning to happen. Merrill Lynch faces a fiduciary responsibility. Yeah, they're owned by a bank. Wachovia is now owned by Wells Fargo. Merrill Lynch, the Bank of Merrill Lynch, right there. The Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. Chase, with their Chase Investments. Investing and lending, banking. Goldman Sachs, banking. Your money's at the front, banking. It didn't used to be this way. There were some decent mutual funds you can invest directly with. Not anymore. When this reset occurs, what do you think is going to happen to your investments and your bank accounts? I don't know. What's going to happen to your CDs if maybe the federal investigators, the fascist U.S. Department of what do I know, SEC, Banking Commission, there's 1,000 of them. What happens if they walk in and you have, say, $350,000 in a CD earning what? Minus 1%? What about your mutual funds invested through a company that belongs to a bank? Yeah, it's getting kind of scary if you think about it, isn't it? Because everything is owned by a bank. After our last democratic president, remember him? We actually had 4 of them because he didn't listen to God. So we went through 4 President Obamas. This was all done by Biden and his handlers. After our last democratic president was elected, he worked hard to set this up, to set you up. Every dime you have in an investment company belongs to the bank that owns the brokerage. At least that's what the federal courts and the banks say. You've got maybe a couple million in there and the bank decides it needs it. And you're saying, well, this is my money. And they say, no, it's not. And then there's the problem of the police stopping you if you have over $10,000 in your car. Okay, so Noble Gold Investments can turn my investments into gold and silver. So big deal. What am I going to do? Stick them in a safe in my backyard? Bury them in my yard? Well, yeah, maybe. If you sell gold or silver, say you buy $5,000 of gold or $5,000 worth of silver and you go to sell it, you have to report anything over $600 on an IRS form. I believe it's a 1099. You pay taxes on it. That's right. You're going to buy and sell gold. Guess what? You now pay taxes on it. Are you ready to Sieg Heil to Adolf Hitler yet? Yeah, it's that bad. This is why you need professional service. Maybe store your gold in a secured, insured vault with Noble Gold Investments so you can trade without IRS involvement. Maybe form a nonprofit. I don't know. We formed a nonprofit. But we don't trade in gold and silver. Our money goes out to feed people. But maybe you need to trade with a nonprofit. I don't know. You need to call Noble Gold and ask them. Maybe we all need to wake up as to what these politicians are doing to us. Maybe it's time to wake up and stand up and fix your own investments, because I guarantee you half of the pension funds are going to be gone within a couple of years, and if the market collapses, say it loses 50% of its value, then over 50% of the pension funds fail within the next 6 months. As for Social Security, we've all seen that Air Force form that says Social Security disappears 1 October 2022. Besides, let's say Social Security does survive. Have you ever tried to live on $1,200 a month? Yeah, you think, well, they steal $300,000-$400,000 from my IRA. I'll just live on Social Security. And you'll be on the streets with $1,200 a month like everybody else on the streets. Right. Social Security goes away. Poof, it vanishes. My VA card and my military ID card already have different IDs on them. What comes after is a universal ID card, a biometrics card using your face, iris, and fingerprints as an ID. And your computer chip in your card, or maybe they're going to put it in your hand. It won't be pretty because one virus will take the entire system down. Now the banking system's separated. But soon it will be one banking system that owns everything. So hunker down, folks. Just consider putting your investments in your own hands. And be ready for a systemic credit breakdown for at least 2 weeks. Perhaps as long as 3 months. Yesterday morning, the International Monetary Fund decided to stop supporting the Indian rupee, the Malaysian whatever they use, the Brazilian real, the Argentina peso, and many other currencies. They're all crashing. This means at least 12 major nations are about to switch off the dollar and write off all the dollar debts. How's it going to affect the dollar? We don't know. It's never happened before. So we're going to have by December, we're going to have 3 billion people on this planet trading without the use of the American dollar because the stranglehold the Rothschilds has put on them is too great. And a year ago, they had this all planned out and mapped out how they would strangle these countries so they get off the dollar. So what happens in America when everybody starts dumping the dollar? We don't know. That all determines whether President Trump does what God asked him to do. And if he does, we're going to have probably half the pension plans disappear within the next 3 years. And then we're going to lose about 50% of the value of the dollar at best. If President Trump continues to do as he's doing, we don't know. It's never happened before. But we know one thing. Those in Argentina, those in Brazil, those in Venezuela, those in Nigeria, and those in India who have been storing their wealth in gold and silver are doing very well today. Those in the Ukraine who stored... it's so funny. When I was in the Ukraine with an embassy, I had a very good friend, Vladimir. And he had $20,000 in his savings account. Everybody wanted him to use it. The hryvnia was equal to $1. Now it's 25 to 26 hryvnia. His $20,000 turned into nothing. Vanished. Poof. He has, I think, $4,000. The equivalent of $4,000 is gone. Gone. His $20,000 was devalued to $10,000, and then it was cut in half again, and again, and again, and again, and until I think he's got $400. His $20,000 is worth $400. Now, what can you buy for $400? Well, in the Ukraine, it's very hard. Some of those things are really highly priced. So we need to pray that the president does what God asks him to do very hard. There's a whole lot of other news like Tesla not making spare parts, like China setting up their own Tesla company. All federal pay is frozen next year, and so is federal hiring, by the way. And the mainstream media is caught in lie after lie after lie. But none of them are as important as what's happening to your dollar over the next few years, and whether or not you can actually survive or if you're going to hit the streets. God bless. Please pray for President Trump's safety, the wall of truth. Dr. William B. Mount. Now you know why we preach, be ready to take care of yourself. Now you know why we work with the companies we work with. God bless. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.